Give me just a sec. I'm getting set up here. Give me just a sec, guys. I'm getting set up. I'm about to get it running. Grabbing me some uh, um, grabbing me some evals with the discounts they're running real quick. Rate of a Give Let me try this real quick. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Having to reboot trading view. See, that's the fresh one. All right, cool. All right, got that out of the way. Now it's time to dive into it. Weekly charts looking very sideways. Not a, I think we have very clear draws on liquidity higher. Not necessarily that we'll get there in London session, but to me, we got some serious relative equal highs right here on the 4 hour. It's kind of stacked up. We got previous day high, New York AM, New York pre-market. These are both from the day, not yesterday, but the day before. And this would be actually an Asia high right here and the high of the week. We have fallen through this daily fair value gap. Now that I'm looking at it on NQ with the sell off yesterday. Um, but on ES, you can see that we tapped that same daily fair value gap um, here and here. With the same that same candle, we tapped and got a big rejection wick off of it. So to me, I believe that this is wanting to seek higher prices. We just need to get us a setup. So we've opened higher off of this 4 hour at 2 a.m. We have, let's see what we have. We do have a 4 hour fair value gap now opened here that we definitely want to keep marked on our chart. Let's go ahead and put a line here too. 4 hours. And then over here on ES, I'm going to get rid of this IFEG. I think that's pretty much ran through now. That is that. I'm going to call both of those ran through and not really relevant anymore. This daily IFEG, I mean, to me is holding. Daily fair value gap tap. ES is looking extremely strong. We have the high time frame Dilling range shown here, and you can see that ES has now popped through it on the 4 hour chart and has now created a bullish fair value gap as well. Let's go ahead and mark that out. There's a line there. We can see it on the lower time frames. Get rid of this line. Okay, I like that. We got previous day low down here. Um, I guess that is the current low week is down here. Previous week low. Okay. So much higher up on ES, clearly. I like to zoom out and kind of get my bearings of where I really am. So what the first thing that I'm looking for right now, since ES is already punched through the equilibrium of this high to this low, which is here, what I would want, what would really set up longs up into these draws on liquidity up here would be us to get a tap into this 4 hour. That would give us the lower wick on the 4 hour candle to potentially close bullish, giving us the manipulation of that candle. And then that would also, if we get the low time frame confluences that it's going to turn around, that would also give us a bounce uh, off equilibrium. So we're not only beating it, we're bouncing off of it as support. That to me would look very bullish. We have that on our charts there to be watching that. I have a feeling we're gonna I have a feeling tonight's gonna put in a banger. I think it's gonna slip past everybody while they're not paying attention. So right now the 4 hours opening higher. On the 1 hour, we have now extended into this 1 hour fair value gap that is in the premium of the Dilling range. Again, same Dilling range from this high to this low, equilibrium there. So it has popped through. Now it's tapping that. Whoops. Now it's tapping into this untapped 1 hour. I think if the bears are going to hold this thing down, they've got to really step in now. And then the question becomes, do we get a higher wick on a uh, bearish 4 hour candle? I don't like that idea as much unless maybe that 4 hour candle was just getting us down to this 4 hour to tap it. That could be a play in itself. That could be a trade to take it to the unfilled 4 hour. Um, just risky in some ways because you have your last 1 hour on ES that has now gone IFEG. Um, 4 hour isn't really that far away, especially on ES right here. I don't think it's crazy to ask for that. Looks like you got a good bit of movement out of Asia. See if we can get that to continue. I mean, honestly, looking at this, I don't even think this would be that bad of a trade. Maybe a eval trade, but something like this. If it gives you that 15-minute IFEG down to that untapped 4 hour, because I think at some point it's to get those higher draws, it's going to need it. But sure holding bullish as of right now. But we'll see. What are you guys trading just NASDAQ and ES, or are you trading other stuff? Time will go a lot faster waiting for a setup if we get the chat rolling. I don't see anybody talking on YouTube. That's new. People on Kick, what do you guys think? Are we going higher or lower in this overnight session? So far, it's been higher. Is that going to continue? Let me know what you guys think. Let me know which way you guys are leaning, what you guys are wanting to see happen. It is sure ripping. Got a little wick on it, leaving an additional 4 hour fair value gap if it hangs in. I need some sort of pullback at the minimum to get involved here. Does NQ does seem to be holding above the 4 hour open and equilibrium here. So we got a 15 open on both. It's untapped right now. Got 5 and rip. That's just 1 hour. Nothing's really jumping off the page to me right now, guys. I'm gonna let the next 15 minutes or so shake out, see what we're left with. We got plenty of room to the upside to take a very good trade at some point tonight. So I'm not too worried about like missing the move. It's not, well, this candle at 9 p.m. was freaking massive. A 9 o'clock p.m. candle. But if previous day high is really in, got a good bit of ways to go. I'm not completely sold that this is smooth sailing to there though. We're jumbling potential 4 hour gaps right at our heels. Got some 1 hour unmitigated gaps in here. $15-minute SMT there. 30-minute SMT there. I keep seeing this as a potential IFEG. It wants to flip lower. Because NQ is sure looking like that's what it wants to do. And that would give us our high wick. And we could just target that unfilled 4 hour. I don't mind that trade. We close in the inefficiency that would be left here and then tap slash fill that. Got some SMTs up at these highs currently. If it holds on the pretty high time frame. Well, we got 30-minute SMT, 15-minute SMT. I'm just gonna mark it on the 30. But we also have this to this on the 15. We're definitely SMTing. We got this 15-minute fair value gap in common right at the 4 hour open. The only thing I don't necessarily like about this is I don't really have a place. Like right now, I could say, okay, here's my 4 hour open. I want to see the 4 hour candle open and manipulate, right? Okay, if it's going to be a bearish candle, I assume it's going to open higher. On in Q, we have this untapped 1 hour, and then if it did fall off, I'm just doing a scenario, I don't know that yet, but if it does fall off, I would be flipping the 4 hour and I would be rejecting the high time frame dealing range, the equilibrium. That to me, and then just leaving a wick through the equilibrium, that to me would be very interesting. Not to go too far down, but just to tap into this unmitigated H4. I don't mind that trade, but ES is obviously holding pretty freaking strong here. They're very disconnected, which kind of makes trading off, I mean, using an SMT as a confluence not very desirable. But I, just because of where this 15 on NQ being the weaker index, where it's positioned right at the 4 hour and right at the equilibrium of the high time frame, if this did flip and go IFEG, I think, riding shorts from here down into this 4 hour, and then you could just look for a bullish confluences to take out of this 4 hour back up, because I think the previous day high and previous week high on ES are definitely in the arsenal for today. Whether that's tonight or in pre-market, or I know the AM is cut short tomorrow, but or New York is cut short tomorrow. It's only the AM, but with the way ES is moving, I don't think at all that those are out of reach. But the question is, does it want to fill the 4 hour underneath it before it goes there? We could potentially look at taking that trade. That wouldn't quite get us to Asia low. Let's see. So this would be our Asia low. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we would sweep Asia low. So we have Asia low, maybe something like this, and then continue higher. I think that's in the cards. And then Asia low over here. Let's see, open that. That's the clear swing over Asia over here. So doesn't take Asia off the table completely though. Let's see what these next 15 looks like. Let's see how they finished today. Ooh! NASDAQ got friggin' murdered. Semiconductors got murdered. Semiconductor equipment. The Dow is rolling. S&P so freaking green, man. So green, other than the NASDAQ companies. That's crazy. See what it wants to do as it's coming down to this 15 here and this 4 hour open. 4 hour open on ES is right there as well. It's stacked right on top of midnight open as well. A very interesting level. So we do have a 5 minute here. We could kind of get an idea of how this thing is running. Got a bunch of 1 hours stacked in here. All right, tapping the 5 and the 15 here. So if this thing is really that ultra bullish right now, then it's going to hold this 4 hour open, and we're not going to get under this. That's what I'm watching for. Like, is this just opening higher to give us the manipulation wick? That's the question. Because if it stays bullish, it's already created this 4 hour on both. It would then make basically stack 4 hour fair value gaps, which isn't, I mean, in this market, I'm not saying it's impossible, but the only thing I don't like is I don't really have a point of interest that this is drawing into right now. Like on I mean, on NQ, I have an unfilled 4 hour that this is tapping off the 4 hour open. That to me makes sense to give me, a 4 hour candle like this, and then I just aim at this 4 hour to fill or to just to tap, really. That's all I really care. But ES is kind of in no man's land, to be honest, which is making me consider that maybe this thing just keeps driving higher. If I go up in time frame, yeah, it doesn't even have, it's in this daily order block. It's already wicked through it. 30 minutes was starting to look a little bearish. I guess we could use high, low, higher, high, break the structure, make that our breaker. Maybe we could call that the draw. It's sure going through that 5 minute pretty quick. It's looking okay. been pretty open until. And my next question becomes, do we inverse the five and then get some kind of last bounce that then gives way? We definitely don't want to be in drawdown off of this 15 right here. See what we get here. I'm about to grab me a drink, guys. I'll be right back. All right, let's see here. See if we get a bounce out of this. Like I said, if it holds this, then that's showing that it wants to hold the 4 hour open. See if this thing will trickle down for us. We just wanted to confirm, right? It's either gonna hold the 4 hour open or it's gonna start to flip it. If it starts to flip it, then we have a very clear draw on liquidity lower on the untapped 4 hour that I think will hit. If it wants to tap this 5 minute it just made in here. See if we get that to hold. That would be nice for our idea. I always want to, I don't want to say always, but 90% of the time, I want to trade in the opposite direction that the 4 hour candle of that session opened. 2 a.m. London opened higher. I, I'm very hesitant to go long on that candle because it has very little manipulation on the wick, right? People overlook this, but this is how you time the move. It's how you get on side. That's how you know that the market is ready to run. If you think about it, if you position yourself on the opposite side of the wick of the 4 hour candle in every trade, it's going to be pretty hard to lose, right? So it looks like it's rejecting pretty cleanly off this five. You don't want to be hasty here on our entry, but it's looking good for lower as of now. So we can look at dealing range here. That looks good. And redo this one to here. Yeah, this is looking pretty weak actually. I'm starting to like this more, guys. So right now, what we would look like is something like this, something like that to the unfilled 4 hour. It's a unfilled 1 hour and 4 hour. Um, so we do have some unfilled gaps here on ES. I'm sorry, on NQ, but on ES, you don't have any unfilled 1 hours there. You just have the big 4 hour that we have marked here. So essentially, we could hold this trade until NASDAQ or ES hits the unfilled 4 hour. We wouldn't want to hold through that because we could potentially get like an SMT into that 4 hour fair value gap. And at minimum, it's gonna send it back up, even if it's temporary, and then it continues lower. You probably don't want to be um, in that. This is looking good though. Bunch of SMTs at the highs. Um, Tapping a 1 hour unfilled on NQ. NQ's been way weaker, so I definitely want to be short on NQ. ES is it hasn't inverse this five, but it has filled it down to the tick. And hopefully we can get a flip here. I don't mind ES being being a little holding itself up a little more. I would expect that. So now this is starting to form pretty well. We got 8 minutes left on this 15. I don't really want it to run away. We do have potentially this 5 minute that we could use as our IFEG and just accept the risk that the 15 hasn't flipped yet. But I'm not sure that I want to do that, but I will have that marked just in case. Um, ES hasn't quite flipped this, so we still got a little bit of confirmation to get on this, but so far it's looking looking pretty decent. You may want to drive up to this equilibrium. See what it does off this equilibrium. Actually, now this is down here. So if we get clean rejection off this equilibrium tap, you see this? Look at this 5 minute high, low, equilibrium. Look at it wicking right into it and rejecting. Same thing over here, high, low, equilibrium. Didn't quite tap it, but maybe a tick away. Let's see if that's what we need to get this next leg down. So about 4 minutes until our 15 closes. We really want this 15 to go IFEG. That would probably key our entry off. So I would be looking at um I'm gonna give me about 7 to that high. And then what assuming our trade is right, we would say that this is the H4 high. That would be our assumption for us to be essentially for us to be right. I really like this so far. We're gonna we get this 15 to flip. I'm gonna put my risk on and I'm gonna let it ride. And then we would have this. I'm gonna call this probably my TP2 or my final TP. Whichever one hits first. Uh, whichever one hits first, I would I would exit all out at. Obviously, much more room on NQ. NQ is the weaker index, so I do want to be short NQ. Um, so we've opened the 4 hour. We've now pushed higher. I'm considering that to be the manipulation wick. We've tapped an untapped H1 in the premium of the high time frame range um, on Nasdaq and NQ. ES is a little higher than equilibrium. It's not as clean of a 1 hour rejection right at equilibrium like this, but it has been much stronger. So we would expect that. It does have a 30-minute breaker block that I've drawn from over here. High, low, higher high, break the order block and now revisit it. I'm calling that the breaker block. And then that could potentially send us seeking lower buy side liquidity. And we have some lows in here and this 4 hour that we could potentially be targeting. So we got 48 seconds left. It looks like we're not going to get the 15 to flip, unfortunately. But we did make a lower low. So that looks good on both indexes. We made a lower low here. So that's a good sign. We have now wicked right at the 4 hour open on NASDAQ. here, and we are pushing higher as of now. I think for higher to be in, we at least would want to tap this with the current structure. Maybe this pushes us back up, but if we don't get the, if we do not get this broken off of tapping this 15, then I think the H4 down here is wide open. H4 open right here. Yeah, this looks good, guys. Honestly, this looks really good. I might even sneak some of this on a second account. I think we got maybe somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes till entry. That's my best estimate. But I think the trade's gonna. I think everything I see right now looks good for the trade, and it's not a forced trade. This is very aligned to what I want to do every day. Come on, confirmation. This is actually okay for us because it's kind of allowing ES to catch up because we were going to have to take kind of a risk entering this trade before we've even made contact with this 15 over here on the more bullish index because that could bounce. I also like how these low, look at this, man. Now that I'm seeing it like on this 5 minute, to me, like this whole thing looks low resistance liquidity written all over it. Cause you got lows all in here that have not been swept for the market to push higher. That one, you did have a little sweep of like this low, but I mean, you got a ton of little lows in here that I think if we get past this 15 gap and start to flip the 4 hour candle back bearish, I think that these lows will start to get popped. So now NASDAQ's looking like it's leading ES for the first time in a few days. And now we're forming a new SMT showing strength in the NASDAQ, which has definitely not been the current trend. We do have that forming. That's okay. More bearish confluences, the better. Seeing more selling pressure on ES. I mean, we could mock up our trade idea over here and see what be open to either. Probably do something like that. But honestly, to me, since this swept liquidity here, this is the protected high. I would consider this the protected high. We'll have to see. That's the question there. It could pop up. I'm saying, but after this SMT is done forming, will that would be the protected high since it swept liquidity? I mean, in theory, you could put it above the weaker index's SMT. That's a little scary to me. You could run something like that. Slightly worse RR, not as much room as NQ is offering. So the 15's holding here on ES pretty well. Good bullish response out of it. Do have the SMT, but now we have the tap of the 15 on ES. This could make us do this where we get a pop and one more sweep before this, and maybe we have the SMT at off of this high. I'm just flashing another 5 minute SMT right here. ES is definitely looking like a weaker index right now. And the other question is, does it just grind higher? Because we do have, the 15 tap, both indexes have now tapped. That would essentially say that they're holding the 4 hour, and the 4 hour would remain bullish, and then we would get left with double stacked 4 hour fair value gaps. This 15 is going to tell the story. This 15-minute fair value gap. This is going to tell the whole story of London session. If you get on the right side of this fair value gap, you're going to earn. Can't be early to the party though. We're right where we want to be. Nice. Also have a 30-minute fair value gap, but it's only on ES, so I'm less worried about it. I think this 15 is still what we need to be considering. 12 minutes left. That kind of sucks. I don't really want to wait 12 freaking minutes. This thing could just run because I mean, to me, this looks like stacked LR as well. Let's mark that as low resistance liquidity. That's how I'm looking at this. We really want this 5 minute to close without it running the whole freaking leg. Look how high NQ is from that 4 hour right now though. ES is much more overextended. I mean, ES is like down here in reference, yeah, NQ's down there. 4 hour looks prime to me. Looks like it's buying up a bit. Honestly, that's what we want. We would really like the 5 minute chart to just kind of hang out right in here and let this 15 actually flip in 11 minutes. We may not get that. ES is now made a new 5 minute. Y'all gonna take this trade with me? YouTube? Got a couple people on kick. Are y'all gonna take this or no? I would. Not financial advice. All right, here's our close of our five. NQ still holding up. That's IFEG. This is now IFEG. Going back in, new SMT. This has got to be transferring to the much higher time frames now. Yeah. And now it's 30-minute SMT. This thing's throwing SMTs everywhere at these highs, man. NQ's definitely holding us up. Now, ES is looking very prime to me. Very prime. But technically it's still holding this 15, so it's not over. We all know that these things can pop up and start running out of nowhere because we have the 15 tap here and here now. Both of them would have touched their 4-hour open price, the 2 a.m. candle opening price, and would, if it goes up from here, it would be bouncing off of it, giving me the idea of continuation. Well, higher. It's not really what I want though. But you gotta be reactionary. You don't want to get too married to one idea. And getting the IFEG tap could could probably look at this billing range. It's failing off at equilibrium. We are we are more than likely at least getting a lower high on the 15-minute on NQ. Last 5 minutes of this 15. Need this thing to start turning over. That's a very nice push on the 15 on NQ. Definitely showing some weakness here. But we got a bunch of fair value gaps here, guys. I don't like really having this much stuff on my chart, but we got a 5 minute right here that it's currently respecting. We're in a larger 5 minute that I was considering taking as an IFEG instead of waiting for the 15 to flip because they both have the 5 minute in common, just like the 15, and it's got the same low. So ES has already flipped that. That 5 is now IFEG, the big one here. It doesn't even have this one up here. So my entry is actually ideally right there on the 15 flip. And here we go above this high that swept the last week on liquidity. It should be there. Shoot. Question is though, ES is now looking much weaker. Do we take the risk sell? Do we wait and get double confirmation with NQ that it's because we're so much closer over here where we are. I don't want this thing to start running away before NASDAQ gets into my confirmation range. You may not have a choice, so just flipped a little 2 minutes to the downside over here. Yep, just got retapped. Clean rejection off of it. Looks like lower prices are in. 1 minute, 1 minute 50 seconds on this 5 minute. Oh, on the 15 as well. Yeah, let's wait till the 15. Yeah, I think it's gonna be better to wait. Even though that's enticing, I don't want to chase it. I want to wait and get what I want. See what this thing looks like at close in 1 minute 25 seconds. All right, here's our new 15. Let's see if we get, so this is now M15 IFEG. See if we get us a retap here. This is M5 IFEG. Come on, NQ. Join the party, bro. Shorts look so fun. Hack into this 5 minute, into this 3 minute. I mean, it's gonna. I'm just. It's gonna go lower. I just don't want to be early. They punish you for shorting early, man. If you buy a little early, you can sometimes manage to make it out because it's a naturally bullish market. I really want this retap. We could potentially get us a brand new, fresh 15 minute right here. That would be very interesting if we could get that. All right, come on, NQ. There, I don't really like all the way down here. I'm gonna have to get more aggressive on our stop. I think it's gonna leave us as 15. Still holding strong and consequent encouragement. You feel the high footing. Mm, maybe it's so in 2 minutes we should be getting a brand new 15-minute bearish for value gap on ES. I think that would be a pretty solid entry. If NQ holds, I'm cool, and even if NQ sweeps that high one more time, I'm cool. I want ES to pop back up a little bit. Mhm. All right, here's our hang on. It does look like we're gonna get the all right, so now we are officially rejecting that 4 hour open on ES. And it does look like we will indeed be getting a 15-minute fair value gap right here. This would be a very ideal place for short. That's really what I want. I don't want to chase here. NQ really hasn't even broken yet. It's 4 hours. Pretty large. All right. Here's our fresh 15. We want to see this thing open higher. Want it to open higher. Pretty close to entry, boys. One way or another. Made a lower low here on NQ. I have to have confidence that it's going to pay me to be patient here and not bait this while ES is so overextended. This is discipline. You have to be willing to let that thing run without you. You may get lucky, but it will always catch up to you. You open up this 5 minute. All right, here's our uptick. See if it just rejects this M5 right here. Let's put our 5 minute dealing range on. Let's definitely pop through it. We really want to see this 15 get filled. Maybe we get, and that honestly would give us a sweep on this 5 minute high. And that would give us this sweep. Patience pays. There it is. There it is. All right, so we got this extra sweep here. Another 5 minute SMT here. A mean rejection there. Here it comes. have to maybe do a secondary position, maybe run something like this. Don't really like that with that 15 sitting right there. I may have to take that. All right, lower lows in, no S&T, E5. The two's about to flip. Mean rejection could just be drawing back into the IFEG here. Being patient right now. Again, I really want it to drop higher. I really don't want to buy this or sell this right here, but I also am really confident in the move in the draw. I don't want to. I don't want to miss it. And this may be all I get. Y'all can see that I'm only going down to these low time frames at the very end, man. When everything else, on all the other time frames are telling me the story. It looks like it's holding this 2 minute right now. But see if it actually ends up holding. Looks like NQ is looking to dump. New lower low, and it would be right on its 4 hour open. Good fade so far. Good fade so far. Really want this M15 to tap. All right, let's see if it'll want to come up where we really want to transact here. This 15 is holding like crazy on NQ. We got two trade ideas. Um, that Oh, there, that might be it. Uh, what's that 2 minute gap? That's IFEG. Brandy 2 minute. This is now IFEG. Yeah, this thing might go, boys. So we'd be selling 5 from here. And that would still allow us to protect the 15. 'Cause if we get that 15-minute tap up here, the reason that I like that so much is because that basically closes in what's at our heels or at our stop loss. Retapped it. All right, I'm in. Oh shit, I can't even buy that many on this account. Forgot I'm on minis. It's holding a little too long for me. It just looks so weak though. Would have stopped us right there, probably. Fade. Zach's fades. There's the liquidity. Cracking a lot of highs, a lot of lows too. You said need 30 minute. We did open a 30-minute gap only on only on ESO. Hmm. Buying power down there. And Q's just sitting there, bro. low. Okay. Yeah. Wonder if her teeth are hurting or something. Can her teeth be hurting? Can her teeth be hurting? Mm. Like, remember this moment, please? Okay, just give her the phone. Just let me try it. Zayden? Zayden? In the living room? Zayden in the living room? Zayden in the living room? She's dependent on eating every time she wakes up. She's dependent on eating anytime she wakes up, or she can't get herself to sleep. It's an oral fixation. Yeah, that's what I mean. Same thing with the baby. That's how it's yeah. Anyways, I'm just so and she's clearly not tired. Say that again? Yeah. What you want? But she's always been hard to wind down. But my best success is when I wind her down without any limits. She's isolated. Ideally, you would I think it plays the group like doing temporarily just the same. You know, make the decision with my bell, what you're deciding on. That's what I do. Listen, y'all. It's tomorrow to wash yourself on. You don't have to do it tonight, but I'll take that all off of you. You know, you walk off and pick it up, but and you should always toss it in the car and uh, once you get up, try to keep it on. I'll be rest. And eventually it's the halfway there. What's the mission? When I was there, I think that's on the dinner. It's settings now time. Yeah, be quiet. I definitely think that you just don't do that. I think that she was actually just that's what you want to do. I was at your one she looked like nothing wrong. We'll just talk with her. She knows it. We don't do it and we do the same thing. we don't find out, so you just have to move in what you want. I just got early, you said that I know you think you this makes sense of that. You will prepare with things, not like, I'm not, what there was to be, well, I didn't mind being, not, it's good for her and be able to, that's not, it's also, like, yeah, there's, um, something that we don't want to is animal. See, see, share, whatever. Yeah, where's the bottom? Probably, you know, if that's what it was, probably the sun's asleep. It's probably, probably, I see that TP smack. We're finna go back to back on them. Whoa, what happened to my chart, man? Dang, Nasdaq still stuck in that same range. Okay, hit right there. That trade, boy, look at that sweep. I called the sweep. And now we got 5 minute open to go lower. I really want Nasdaq to get out of this range. Basically just stuck in there. ES seems to be really selling off now. get this thing out of this range over here. It's just stuck. ES is looking good. I would like to run shorts all the way down into here. But we definitely have a good bit of fair value gaps above us. See, so we shorted successfully down into this untapped H4, and we have now have that tap. 46 minutes left on this 4 hour candle. The 1 hour is opening bullish. Whoops. Here, I can take this off. There we still have this 15 that still hasn't been rebalanced. And there's actually a 30-minute. Come on, Nasdaq, get out of this range, man. I see a couple of setups on ES potentially to follow up that last trade. I would be looking to take one more. I still have one in the chamber, but I'm not taking anything as long as Nasdaq sits in that one pocket. Just feel like that's like manipulation central. Right. All right, guys. I'm probably gonna chill for a couple hours and see how it shakes out. I don't have any want to long here. It's already melted from that same price range. Nasdaq is holding, but we're so overextended on ES compared to Nasdaq. This may be one of those kind of corrections to get them back more in sync. I would only be interested in shorts here down to this 4 hour. We've tapped it. We've traded into that on ES as it was showing weaker market structure, but Nasdaq's holding up without it. So I wouldn't want to long with that potentially uh, what it needs to really go higher, and I wouldn't want to long right through this untapped 1 hour. That's in the premium of the high time frame range. Here's equilibrium that we're rejecting nicely off that. Maybe we sweep one more time. I don't know. I was asking, is this the 4 hour high? But now it's going to be this, wherever this lands. So check.